Welcome to Easy Maths with Elijah. In this lesson, we're going to have the first lesson on the series of lessons on the topic of formula and variations. Particularly, we're going to be looking at the changing of the subject of the formula. However, in other lessons, we're going to be looking at the following areas. We have variations, which has direct and inverse variations. We have partial variation, joint variation. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate your support, even your comments. Let's turn now to the first lesson, which is to do with changing the subject formula. Now, when you're talking about subject of formula, we should understand first of all that a formula is a mathematical relationship between two or more quantities or variables. Now, in this particular lesson, I'm going to tackle some examples, and so we're told to make the letter in bracket subject to the formula given the following equations or relationships. Now, as we attempt the questions, we should understand that we just need to use appropriate mathematical operations in manipulating the formula as it's required. And again, we need to understand that each formula is unique from any other, and therefore, because of that, I normally think I should not emphasize a lot the concept that I'm going through or trying out in a particular question, because every question happens to be unique from any other. Now, for example, we have this question here. We have f is equals to m1 m2 all over r squared, and we're supposed to make the r here a subject of formula. I'm not going to show you how to go about that, but you can try out using appropriate mathematical formulas and manipulations, and the answer will be this one here. R is the square root of m1 m2 all over f. You can try out another one here. We have ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. This is a quadratic equation. You're supposed to make x the subject formula and you should get the solution, one of the formulas for solving quadratic equations, which is this one here. Try it out. I think you tried using the method we call the completing square method. However, I'm going to attempt this example here. We are given a is equals to pi r squared plus pi r root h squared plus r squared. And you're supposed to make h the subject formula. Now, if I want to make h the subject of the formula, I will need to ensure that I remove all the other variables or quantities which are attached to h in some way, such that I'm going to remain with h on one side and everything else on the other side of the equal sign. So to start off, I need to take away the pi r squared, and so I'm going to have a minus pi r squared. In other words, the pi r squared has crossed the equal sign to the other side, so that I have now fewer elements, which is just pi r back, and then root h squared plus r squared. The next stage would involve removing another variable or variables or quantities so that I have fewer quantities attached to h. In that way, therefore, I'm going to divide both sides by pi r, so that I have a minus pi r squared over pi r is equals to the root of h squared plus r squared. I'm going to reduce further by taking the root away by simply squaring both sides. So I have everything here squared like this, and everything here also having been squared takes away the square root sign. And lastly, I take the r squared the other side, so that I only have h squared, and so I have a minus pi r squared all of pi r, all of that squared minus r squared should be h squared. That therefore tells us that h is simply the square root of whatever there is before the equal sign. Therefore, there it is. When you are attempting questions that have to do with changing the subject formula, there is no particular formula going through them because every question is unique. You just need to use appropriate mathematical operations in manipulating the formula. Moving on to another example, we have 1 over r is equals to 1 over p plus 1 over q. We are told to make p the subject of the formula, hence find p when q is 6 and r is 2.4. Now, if I want to make p the subject of the formula, it looks like I would need to remove this variable q. So I need to take it to the other side. I'm going to have 1 over r minus 1 over q is equals to 1 over p. Now, 1 over r minus 1 over q is simply two fractions that need to be simplified, So simplifying a fraction, you need to have the LCM of, in our case, R and Q. So RQ is the LCM of R and Q. Operate, you get above there Q minus R is equal to 1 P. Now the reason, I needed to get P, and therefore I'm going to have to take the reciprocal of both sides, and therefore P over 1, which is simply P, is same as RQ minus Q minus R. Sorry, RQ all over Q minus R. And therefore P is simply RQ minus Q minus R. Sorry, RQ over Q minus R. And that is a subject formula. P is subject formula at this particular point. We have P on one side and everything else on the other side. Now we're told to find the value of P when Q is 6 and R is 2.4. Just need to put the values for Q as 6 in this formula and R 2.4. So we're going to have it this particular way, 2.4 times 6, all over 6 minus 2.4, and that's going to be 14.4 all over 3.6, and therefore P is simply going to be 4. And that is the answer. Now that brings me to the end of that particular first lesson on the topic of formula and variations. Check out for more videos that will be posted. Subscribe to this one where you get additional concepts. Thank you.